Hey, what's up, Carlos? Greetings from New
How
York.
are you?
I'm doing well, man. I don't know if you can hear it right now from outside, but in New York at 7 o'clock, everyone goes to their windows and they start applauding for all the first responders. So I want to give a big shout out to them right now in this time. And, it's really dope the city comes together like that.
Yeah, yeah. I love New York that way.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
spontaneous. I miss that. I'm here in Miami. You just hear the birds.
Right,
That's all you hear.
right,
So I love New York. I miss New York, and I'm glad everyone is safe.
right on.
Mast, thank you for joining us.
Thank you
Um,
for
it's
having me.
it's been a pleasure. We met for the first time when you were doing the mural with Yes and Cess and Doves.
Right.
And you guys did a phenomenal job for us. It's still a spectacular view every time I pass through. And so, Mass, before we begin, I want to read. I'm going to turn over my screen just for a minute so I can focus on reading
Okay.
just a short bio on you. Mast is a mural painter and commercial artist living in Brooklyn, New York. He started making a name for himself in New York City's graffiti scene in the early 90s, earning a reputation for coupling aggressive letters and stylized characters. His attention to detail and focus on stylish letter forms gives his work a foundation in traditional graffiti as he continues to hone the illustrative vocabulary of his visual language. His past life as an editorial art director instills a sensitivity to type, composition, and color that informs the continued evolution of his fine art and large-scale mural. And boy, is that true, because we surveyed your work, and it's a brilliant evolution.
Thank
And I'm excited to share that with everyone today. And so what we're going to do is start at the very beginning.
Yeah. Awesome.
And I got to tell you, I love this drawing. It's honest. It speaks to the time, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
this is kind of incredible. My dad was moving from New York to Florida, and he was going through a lot of the old files, and he saved a lot of stuff that me and my brother had drew growing up. And when I uncovered this a few years ago, it really blew my mind. It's from 1988, so I was 9 years old. And it's a character of Brian Bosworth, who was a big figure in the 80s. And he's got this shirt that says Rap Chill, these four finger rings, the crowning kind of Rap Chill on top, which is to these days that shitty anti-graffiti style that's out there. And then you have an LL Cool J. And it's just, for me, it was interesting to see something done at such a young age that I'm actually working with my work now as far as like where type goes, layout, composition, characters, letters. So it's kind of amazing that I uncover this and look and see, okay, I've been on this path for a while, and it's something that I've been thinking about. And I think at 9 years old, I was literally just absorbing what was in the environment around me and then just putting it on the paper. But you could see that I was paying attention to graffiti, and then trying to put my spin on it. So it was a really cool find, and it's a treasured old piece that I have, and I'm thankful for my dad for holding on to it. And to all the fathers out there, save your kids' stuff. They're gonna love seeing it in years. Keep it on the fridge.
so, so prior to this, do you have any memory of what kind of art you were drawing?
Um, I mean, I was just a young kid scribbling on everything that I could probably get my hands on. It's funny. My mom has a story of me when I was 2 years old, and she goes into my bedroom and she just sees me there in my diaper, and my hands are full of shit, and the wall is full of shit. And she said that at a young age, she knew that I was going to be putting my shit on the walls.
I love it. And that you did, because
Yeah,
soon
yeah.
after you did your first piece, a silver fill-in.
Yes, this was the first piece that I'd ever done with a fill-in with an outline that's, harbor blue, flat white, dove gray, that's behind Wallbounds on Central Ave. I grew up in Yonkers, New York, and there's a major strip there, Central Avenue, and behind this building was like a kind of a schooling ground for me. I got to meet my first writers there, and being brought there was very special. It was the first big, like, I guess, amount of graffiti that I could look at. I was free to draw on the walls. It was kind of safe. And yeah, this piece was at 92. So
Do you remember the writers you met?
Well, my partner at the time was Myth, M-Y-T-H, and he was a local Yonkers writer. And the other guys were Vos, Tax 6, Size, Lays, all local Yonkers guys that would later introduce me to a major Hall of Fame just south on Central Avenue at 238th Street in the Bronx. So those are the guys that kind of fostered me in the beginning and then brought me there and really fucking blew my mind.
Were you aware of that Style Wars came out and the early books, Subway Art and all that?
I was. It's actually spray can art I discovered first. And you had Charlie Ahern on here earlier, who is absolutely amazing. And the cover of spray can art, I remember I stole a copy from Barnes and Nobles on Central Ave, and the cover had that Mode 2 character. So immediately, I think that character drew me to it. You know, I was already into comics, and seeing the character on the cover, spray painting, it was just like, it was automatic. Like, you know, I was seeing graffiti on the walls. I was curious about it. Who's doing this? How'd it get there? And it just spoke to me, you know. It's just this kind of like affirmation of, I'm here, I'm making this mark. And there are these characters, and it really pulled me in. So, you know, at a young age, I was always working on these little characters of myself, these little self-portraits. And this was in 1994 at the same location in back of Wallbounds. And you could see I hooked up my partner Myth there. And, you know, this theme of me painting little stylized characters of myself and of other characters, of females, you know, it's looking back in my work and seeing that it was present from the beginning. It's kind of nice. And to see the development and how I started, you know, using my knowledge of anatomy to inform my artwork, and, you know, not making it so cartoony, but actually based on reality. And,
you know what draws my interest in this is that it is a character that is not drawing reference from any other kind of mainstream cartoon.
yeah.
This is you know, kind of very typical graffiti. The square eyes, to me, I feel, you know, that came out of art and design in the 80s.
Right on.
And that it's not drawing any reference to any animated cartoon we had known previously, which is quite interesting. And so you have this interest very early on, an interest in you know, characters that carries through, and you could see it here in one of your earlier paintings from 1997.
Yeah.
With the moon and the melting mushroom and the house. This one's kind of a very psychedelic, like trippy, morphy kind of painting.
Totally. Well, this was in 97. So this was 5 years after, actually 6 years after, I'm sorry, 97. So this was in an interior mural in my friend's room. His dad was pretty cool, and he was like, sure, you can go paint the room. And I think what this is an example of is just kind of the art and the graph that I was looking at. I mean, early I Am Okay guys, Sub and Emit and Gaze. I think Sub especially always had these kind of hills, and there was something on the hill, whether it was a character. And then, so this is such an homage to the work that they were doing that was really inspiring me. I mean, at this time, actually a few years before this, there was an actual graffiti shop up in White Plains called Mad Grill. And I remember going to the filming of a commercial for Videograph at Mad Grill. And I got to meet Sub, I got to meet Emit, I got to meet Gaze, I got to meet Cause. They were all there, they were signing my book, and they had done the interior of the graffiti shop. So to have something like that up in Westchester was pretty special, because I could actually go there, see it in person, you know, in addition to the work that I was kind of searching out on the tracks and on the train lines.
And here, this is my neck of the woods. This is down the street from me, the abandoned 91st Street train station on Broadway. This is a great shot, actually.
Yeah.
That smile on your face, ear to ear, speaks volumes.
Yeah, this was exciting. We had gone, this is back in 99, and we snuck down there and we were doing a lot of painting at the time. I believe it was myself, my buddy Tom's, Empty, Tokyo. And yeah, we rocked some pieces, and thank God for that white highlight, or you wouldn't really see much going on there. But I remember just, you can see in the photo, my hands are so dirty. I'm just so happy. And it's that type of kind of like youthful exuberance that this photo kind of conveys. And when I look back at it, I kind of feel that. It's something that I really try and tap into these days when I'm doing my work, is to kind of remember what inspired me in the beginning to do what I'm doing now. And if I can tap into that, and then that informs the work I'm doing now, I just feel like it's all coming first circle, you know, full circle. And it's very important to me. And it's something that I do often.
I get it. You know, the one missing element is the kind of anxiety that comes with painting on trains and tracks and in tunnels.
Well, I think the anxiety was before and after the snap.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, that's part of it, right? When you're going into the tunnels to paint, there is a certain anxiety that pushes your creativity, your creative skills, your speed, all kinds of sensory things that are involved in the act of creating art.
Yeah.
That does not happen in the studio, which is special to our experience as writers.
Yeah.
And I know particularly with this tunnel, when I used to go down there, that it drew a great deal of anxiety because of the way it was situated on, you know, high platform, and if you get chased, and I mean, you had the escape hatch, but it was a little bit of a challenge.
Absolutely.
To be in and out of there. So this next piece, the True Mean Creations piece. Tell me about this whole production.
So this is a classic production. This is one of my first experiences with the type of work that I would then start to try and produce myself. This was kind of like the bar for me. This was located on the Metro North line. I was able to ride my bike to the location on this underpass, and I was able to look at it in person. Now, when I first saw this, all that was really visible was the True Mean Creations on top, but it was done with such skill. The bottom was actually kind of buffed out because of beef, and people had gone over it, but the True Mean Creations remained, and it was pristine. And it was that type of craftsmanship and precision, and it was just like, wow, my work needs to look like that. It needs to be on this scale. There needs to be characters. There needs to be letters. It needs to tell a story. And it left an impression that is still with me today. So when I look at this photo, it's just, it still hits me like I'm a young kid. Back then I was Little Mast. And yeah, it's beautiful. It was done by Vet and Boast, and it's a classic for sure. So this photo actually surfaced on 12 Ounce Profit in 2000. So when I finally got to see it, my crewmate Noble had a flick of it. And when he posted it, it was just kind of like, wow, that's what it was. Okay. All right. And then just started taking notes, and all right, this is what we got to do. So
you take notes and you become really good at it years later. This giant masked wild style in who knows what tunnel. Give me an idea of where you were.
This is in Brooklyn. This is underground in this kind of forgotten cavern of the subway system. And this is actually 19 years after the 91st Street one tunnel shot that you had earlier. So when I was painting this, I was actually thinking about that time and other times. And you know, this room is completely dark, so we had to wear headlamps, and but it's just something that's down there and then preserved, you know, forever. So
let me ask you a question. Is it that you chase? It's almost like chasing a high. Is it that you know, when you go painting in a tunnel, when you come back to it, or you're having this memory recall,
I think it definitely is. I think it's just something about it's a heightened experience when it's something to do with train tracks, whether it's in a subway tunnel or it's a trackside, or there's something that you need to be completely aware about for safety, but there's also a calm that's present as well. Once you're in, you're able to gauge your surroundings and make judgments based on what you're feeling, what the wind is blowing, and once we got to this location, we were completely secure. The only problem was if workers showed up, our headlamps ran out of batteries.
Now, this, I was very impressed by this, by the way. This is on a LIRR train, and I've never hit one of those before. I never found them appealing, but that doesn't mean that they aren't, worthy of painting. And this masked burner, tell me, was this recent, or was this in?
Yeah, this was a couple of years ago. These were done on some LIRR scraps that were laying around, and trains, whether they're in service or scraps, are just a beautiful surface to paint on. So it's funny, there was like some little dinghies that were tied up right where this location was. So you could see on the door, I wrote Yacht Rock.
Right.
Also an homage to my favorite Michael McDonald singer and all the Doobie Brothers and that whole genre of music. So, but yeah, this was just a fun little exercise, practice.
Yeah, and obviously by this point, your style writing is very crisp. Your color combinations are beautiful. The green and the avocado with the white outline popping it out with these beautiful reds in the background. It's just, I think at this point, I see how this kind of correlates to the work that you would be making in your commercial work and in your studio practice.
Yeah, definitely thinking about color a lot. A color and letter style, and how color can accentuate certain parts and play down others, and really drag your eye through the composition by its placement. So for instance, this silver, I think chromes are probably one of my favorite to do, because your letters are just pure style. There's no kind of hiding behind a color blends or anything. It's just chrome, black outline. And then we have the background, which is, this super crazy explosion of all these light values on these purples and browns. And that kind of drags you from the top left to the bottom right. And then I have this like super stylized character, and she's just kind of hanging out. She's got her booty sticking out, and she's looking over, and purple and blue is like, I was questioning myself on those color choices while I did it, but it was the summer and I was going for something like ultra hot. So it was, it was a fun one.
So how do you define your style? I mean, it's interesting because you are very precise. You have long lines, very crisp and sharp arrows. Occasionally you'll throw a curvaceous line and that for an arrow. But you really must have a very steady hand to be able to execute this style.
Just through a lot of practice. I remember, actually, it's funny, from that time I was at the Mad Grill in White Plains, and I was watching Gaze do this outline in a black book. And what he was doing was he was doing the line first without drawing it, like mirroring the line and then drawing it. And it's something that when I saw him do that, I started doing it in my work. And I realized he had these long swooping lines in his spray paint murals as well, in his pieces. So there was something that I just wanted to practice and say, okay, I want to have these long dramatic straight lines. And it's just something that over the years, things just started to happen.
Yeah. I mean, excuse me. Again, it's something that we see consistently in your work, very long lines, there is this kind of sense, or kind of, you're very into symmetry and in terms of your line weight, the thickness of your letters. So, you're very conscious of letter form. As in terms of structure.
Well, currently I'm a commercial artist, but for 13 years I was an editorial art director. So in being an editorial art director, I got comfortable with type. I got, I learned a lot about composition, about color. So a lot of that kind of thought process and critical decision making creatively all comes into my work. And, it's something that I'll paint a piece, and like the last one that was there, and I actually finished painting it. I went home, and then I'm looking at the photograph, and I actually went back and I edited the piece because I didn't like how the M was balanced. So I think a lot of times I'm kind of a little bit neurotic, where I'll look at a piece, I'm like, oh, I just finished this thing. And it's like the evening, and I'm just finally like having time apart to look at it critically. And I'll say, ah, fuck, I want to go back. I want to make this little change. And I actually edited the apple. So this was the first piece that I did during the whole pandemic.
Yeah, and here we see Stay Strong, and we see the apple
with the thermometer, and he's spraying. Yeah. And I threw up the slogan, Stay Strong, and I was just thinking about New York. And what's incredible is going out and painting in these times, especially in the beginning of the quarantine, it was just so quiet and so dead. And you really were just kind of in your own head painting. And this was with two other artists that were there. And it was a really memorable experience. I remember we all met up, and everyone just gave each other like an elbow pound, and and then we got to work. But
interesting times.
This was good for my own mental health, just to get out and release,
Yeah, of course. One of the things, again, going back to the skills you were learning in your trade, how that comes to the forefront with your murals, particularly this one at the Ono Festival in Tahiti.
Yeah.
It's really quite wonderful. And we were discussing this earlier, and I noticed, and I know folks may not notice this, but what's really special about this mural is on his tag, MAST, in bright yellow. In a different tone of yellow, he has illustrated a train, an elevated train.
Yeah.
The whole scenario.
Yes.
And it's hidden, and it's fantastic. It's subtle. It's there.
It's the J train leaving Flushing Station, heading to Manhattan. And if you're on Flushing, looking east at the JMZ line, that's the angle. And it's just kind of going off. It's on the elevated platform. The station's to the right.
Yeah.
This mural was actually the first large-scale mural that I ever produced. And it was a part of this Onoyu Festival in Tahiti. It was the third year that I was there. The first 2 years were a competition. And I had done well in the competition. And the third year, they invited me to produce my first large-scale mural. So it was an amazing opportunity. And they had sent me a photo of the wall. They'd given me the dimensions. And then immediately I got down to work. Like, what do I want to do? I want to have this like really wild colored character. I want to have my name represented. And then also the New York City subway station, which the station I named the TGE Express. Which I believe Cycle said the E-train doesn't go express or something.
So I want to draw focus to your character and your illustration skills and that style, and what's influencing that, and what's what's drawing your eye to it. And we were discussing certain artists, certain types of art,
right?
And you mentioned Fiona.
Fiona Staples. She's
Staples.
Incredible. She's a Canadian illustrator, and she's illustrating right now one of my favorite comics, which is Saga. And it's an incredible story, but specifically her line work and her color work really stand out to me. And it's something that every page I'm flipping through, I'm constantly inspired by, how she's creating these forms. And the coloring as well. So it's definitely something, someone you should pay attention to, and definitely pick up some of her work. She's amazing.
Another thing that I liked, we were discussing this as well, about creating narratives in the work, and how these murals, that you start you know, of course, honing in your illustration skills and your
Right.
communication skills. Your all the advertising and layout stuff comes to this mural, Escape into Action.
Absolutely. So this was the second mural after the one in Tahiti, and this was up at Rust Magic in 2017.
Edmonton.
I want to give a big shout out to Trevor and Annalisa. You
Yeah,
guys,
they're in the house.
yeah, I mean, what a blessing this was. What an opportunity, and it was something that when they presented it to me, it was like, fuck. This wall was 90 feet wide by 28 feet tall. And I immediately started figuring out, you know, what story do I want to tell on this wall? And you know, the inspiration for this comes from a lot of the classic illustrators and movie poster designers that I was really into. One of the most recent is, well, this is Frank McGinnis. He was an incredible editorial illustrator, commercial illustrator. He did this amazing poster for The Man with the Golden Gun, and it really informed the work that I was doing, where the composition and the scale of the characters tells a story.
Right, and you
Here
see
we
this
have,
here.
yeah, I mean, hands down, Frank McCarthy, the illustrator of this poster, has a profound influence on me. And it was only until after the crew TGE was formed that I start looking into the poster that was designed, researching the artist, exploring his body of work, and then having that really have an effect. I mean, the composition on this illustration by Frank McCarthy is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah,
Uh,
I would agree.
and it's something that I really try and use in my work, where you know, even if there aren't words, the images themselves are pulling you through the narrative and kind of telling you a story. So
Yeah,
I think that's really important. And I feel like when you go into the work with an idea or a story, once there's a basic plot line, tons of things come out of it, like elements. Oh, I can do this here or that here. This is an incredible poster. This is by Drew Struzan for Big Trouble in Little China. I mean, it's wild. It's he was incredible at getting likenesses, and that's also something that I'm really trying to work on in my work, is getting my portraiture down, where I can, you know, do a portrait of someone or capture their face. And
do,
I think
do
it all. What's that?
I was going to ask, do contemporary movie posters stimulate you at all, or is
They
this?
do, but I feel like there's something about a hand-drawn portrait, the way that these artists did it, that actually captures the likeness and the personality of someone better than some photoshopped poster with filters on their faces. I don't know. It's just got like a handcrafted touch that, like, I don't know. I maybe it's because I grew up on it and it's a part of just my childhood, and it's really special. And I think there's something that's been lost since everything has gone digital, to be honest.
Right, and in this actually production that you did for Basel House in 2018 is really cool, because it captures that very energy you're speaking about in terms of a narrative, like a movie poster narrative.
Yeah. This was another amazing opportunity. This is actually the scale of a subway car. So it was kind of, wow, okay, I can do a full car E to E top to bottom. Like, what's it gonna look like? I got time. I have this wonderfully flat surface. And I tried to just pull all these different characters together and to kind of drag your eye through the composition. And the cool thing about this is that this truck is still traveling the roads, the highways. It's based in Atlanta, but it still carries tons of cargo and it's still moving around the US. So people tag me about this all the time, and it's great to see that it's still rolling. It was an awesome.
Is the character on the far left LL Cool J?
No, that's actually Rakim. If you could look closer, yeah.
That's him. Okay, right on.
Yeah,
Nice one.
Rakim with the bubble.
Nice. So obviously, you know, your talents are getting you commercial work.
Yeah.
And it's allowing you to be both the illustrator and the graffiti artist. And we see this with the Soundset project.
Yeah.
Tell me about the kind of benefits of being you when you get asked to do a job that says bring some graffiti to the set.
I mean, this was an incredible opportunity. Soundset is a hip hop festival, a one-day hip hop festival, happens in Minneapolis. And I got to paint this with my homie and crewmate Journey. And one of the artists that was performing was Kool Keith, Dr. Octagon. So he's one of my favorite MCs of all time. And for me to have the ability to paint live while he's performing, or he's performing for me while I'm painting live, it was just, I was really just super excited to be there, and painting this was super rewarding and so much fun. I got to illustrate the half shark, alligator, half man. We both got to do our letters, and it was all for music. And music is something that is really integral and inspiring in my work. When I paint, I dance. And this was kind of touched on by Jose Parla yesterday in his incredible interview. I feel like when you're moving, like when I paint, I'm moving. And if there's music, my lines are going to have rhythm. They're going to have flow. My letters aren't going to be stagnant. And I think rhythm in my letters and movement is something really important that I've really been trying to pay attention to and to like emphasize. Letters can have so much attitude and personality, and it's all about how they move.
Yeah. This project is really cool. You want to talk about music, you know, in this, of course, this is done in Brooklyn on Atlantic Avenue, but
Yeah.
you definitely, you include music into this as well. We're going to explore it in more detail.
Yeah.
Of course, you tag up TGE and I'm okay.
Yeah.
This was, tell us about this project and how you got this project.
So this was basically me knocking on the door for about 3 years straight, talking to the property owner, trying to get permission for this wall. This was all done. There was no commercial aspect to it. It was just me getting permission for a wall and then spending my time and my energy kind of producing this mural. And it's located in a part of Brooklyn by downtown on Vanderbilt and Atlantic. Unfortunately, it's no longer there because the business was sold and now they're building some stupid fucking high-rise. But I really wanted to kind of do a mural that represented my love for Brooklyn, that was informed by the history. You know, you got Dr. J represent, who used to play for the Nets. You know, you got the Crooklyn Dodgers represented there. You got some dice, you got an orange, you know, Dodge Challenger. You got some brownstones in the background, my name. You got Radio Raheem on the boombox, making sure the tunes are nice and loud. And then there's this beautiful lady. She's just kind of hanging out. Her hair's all did. And then you have Dondi on the train.
And Coney Island in the background.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so,
it's a wonderful piece.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. This was done over 9 days. And lucky for me, it was during a heat wave. So it was like 97, 99. Chino came through and we got to talking, and he kind of gave me a whole kind of schooling on the history of the neighborhood and the writers that came up and what used to go down there, because he grew up down the block. So it was an honor to have the opportunity to do this and kind of make it happen. It just, you know, it lives now digitally and in the video that we produced from this. And one thing I wanted to add was that a lot of the art that we're looking at in photos, it's all present on my website, indeliblefunk.com. I also have a lot of videos. I also have some artwork, some prints. So if there's any other information you're looking for, please check out indeliblefunk.com.
Good one. Good. Thank you for plugging that. I hope everybody goes and supports you. As you know, folks, we need to support living artists. Especially during this period. Moving forward, you got down with my man Jesse with the Rooftop Legends, bringing it to the kids in New York City.
Yeah, it was an incredible opportunity. Jesse's the man. I had been involved in Rooftop Legends before, and then I had done a wall with my crewmate Yes2, and we had created a mural that was kind of like more playful, something for the kids. And then Jesse hit me up the following year, and then he was offering me this location. And I was super hyped. I was thinking, all right, what do I do here? Big chrome letters. You know, in the past, Say and Doc had been on there, and those are two kind of graffiti heroes of mine. So I definitely wanted to come correct and not drop the ball on this one. So, you know, a lot of pressure, and then just how do I do it? What's my statement? And I wanted it to be focused on the space. You know, kids play basketball there. At night, they have, you know, nighttime soccer matches. So on the right side, you got a little New York City Apple playing soccer. And on the left, you got a B-girl kind of spinning the ball with like a real taunting look in her eye. And then here I am on the right, just kind of, you know, happy to be here, just spraying.
So I want to take a moment to let everybody know that because of time, we're going to have a part 2 where you guys should stay on because we're running about 10 minutes left for Instagram cuts this section off, but we're going to stay on, and there's more to come. So we'll have a part 2 of our conversation. So heads up to everybody. So MAST, I also want to talk about the commercial work, right? Because
Right.
you're applying yourself to clients and high-end clients, good paying clients. Tell me about this firm and why you wrote Hustle, and why is Hustle related to the firm?
So this is for like a headhunting firm that is located over on 21st Street, Goldsmith & Co. And it's just one of the commercial clients that I've had in the past 7 years. So like I said, I was involved in publishing 7 years ago. I quit that, and then I went full-time into doing commercial murals, mostly for office spaces, promotional events, restaurants, some people's private residences, but a lot of commercial work for office spaces. So this is an office space that is, there's 3 murals that came in with this whole project. And these guys are out there, you know, headhunting and placing people in top positions. The owner really loves graffiti and kind of let me kind of go with this on my own. That's an image of his dog. And then they consider themselves kingmakers. So that's the piece that I did in the kind of lunch area. And then their nickname is G & Co. So yeah, this was done about 3 years ago, and an amazing opportunity to kind of use my skill set and to kind of decorate an office space.
Fantastic. So MAST, what I'm going to do is log off now so we can have a full hour. Folks, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Stay put. We're going to log off and log back on so we don't get cut off abruptly. So thank you again, and we'll be right back.
Cool.